Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. The look on Elon Musk's face pretty much tells it all. So basically, the South African government flies into the Oval Office, clearly on a diplomatic PR mission, to convince the world that what is happening isn't actually happening. But unfortunately for them, Joe Biden's no longer in office, so they're no longer getting the dementia treatment.
We were talking before you came in about how magnificent I think your country is. I spent some time in my campaign, which lasted for years, against apartheid, to visit your country, and it's magnificent. And, it's an honor to welcome you to the White House. I've been looking forward to this for a while. The United States and South Africa and your government have the same value set. And, I've long been inspired by the long struggle of freedom and justice. And one of the great moments of my career was when the first time Nelson Mandela came to the United States. He by to say thank you, because he heard I had been stopped trying to get to visit him and to see him in prison.
No, this time they had to deal with the big dog Trump, and, well, the other video I recorded goes over how that went. But in this video, I want to showcase Elon Musk's reaction, which I think is highly relevant considering he's South African. Elon Musk's family is from South Africa. He grew up in South Africa, not for his entire young life, but for a good portion. So anyways, you'd expect him to be pretty keyed into what's going on here. And well, let's just say he didn't look so convinced by the defense being displayed by these interesting South African characters. Let me show you guys that moment. I don't want to cover the angle the media is taking. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on here. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so Elon Musk didn't actually even say a word, but he really didn't need to, because his glare said everything. Take a look.
They say there's a lot of bad things going on in Africa, and that's what we're going to be discussing today. When you say we don't take others, all you have to do is take a look at the southern border. We let 21 million people come.
He doesn't look convinced at all. And obviously it's personal for Elon Musk.
First of all, you should be questioning why are there racist laws in South Africa? That's the first problem. That's what you should be attacking. It's improper for there to be racist laws in South Africa. The whole idea with what Nelson Mandela, who was a great man, proposed was that all races should be on an equal footing in South Africa. That's the right thing to do, not to replace one set of racist laws with another set of racist laws, which is utterly wrong and improper. That's the deal, that all races should be treated equally and there should be no preference given to one or the other. Whereas there are now 140 laws in South Africa that basically give strong preference to if you're a black South African and not otherwise. And so now I'm in this absurd situation where I was born in South Africa but cannot get a license to operate in Starlink because I'm not black.
Well, it looks like that's about to change.
Yeah, Elon Musk has basically had a front row seat to what's been going on. Clearly he's not convinced, and you know what? I don't think anybody else is either. This public relations team sent from South Africa visits the White House to clarify all the misinformation, but nowhere did I see any evidence presented. It seems like they're operating with the standard being, well, just trust me, bro. There's no persecution of whites happening here. Meanwhile, the Trump administration, well, you guys saw the clip, Donald Trump pulled up the receipts of clear incitement to violence against white South African farmers and a montage of the classic Kill the Boer chant.
Turn the lights down, and just put this on. It's right behind you. Johan.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not?
No wonder nobody's convinced. The only explanation we've seen is, well, it's not as bad as you think it might be, or the other genius argument that we've seen, from this guy's political party, by the way, where they basically admitted, yeah, it's happening, but it's just politics. It's reparations, bro. But of course, while you and I and Elon Musk aren't exactly convinced of their counter-arguments, the media seems perfectly content to carry the water. Holy friggin' moly. Here goes CNN and every other network claiming it's just another right-wing conspiracy theory. Yeah, that's the third element of the defense. No denial of all the killing or the constant open calls to violence. No, just rely on racial dynamics and throw a bunch of buzzwords and then call it a baseless claim or something.
Explaining that this is not true. What the videos show is Julius Malema, the far left opposition leader of South Africa. His party is called the Economic Freedom Fighters, and it also showed former President Jacob Zuma. What Julius Malema was singing Boer the Farmer was an anti-apartheid song from the struggle against white minority rule in South Africa. They've explained that this is not a literal attack, call to attack and kill the farmer because of the historical nature of that, but it's been weaponized by groups in South Africa and increasingly by the MAGA right in the United States to essentially misrepresent what is going on in the country.
There is a broad crime problem in South Africa that is very different than a claim of genocide. Then there's the issue of land. So now you've seen this law passed earlier this year by the South African government that, yes, would take land, but it's subject to judicial review as well. And it has to be in the public interest. So there's a lengthy process. It's not just like you're confiscating land as well. That nuance also has not been articulated by President Trump here. So you have these two issues, these two false claims. And
there's no evidence, they tell us. Donald Trump is peddling a baseless claim. Well, I find that interesting considering Donald Trump presented a whole lot of evidence during that Oval Office scrum, but I guess the media's angle is don't believe your lying eyes. Certainly wouldn't be the first time, and probably not the last that they essentially tell us that. Absolutely ridiculous, the arguments coming out of the left here. Oh, it's an ambush, it's a debunked conspiracy theory. Or the latest shifting of the goalposts. The PBS fact check that might be the most embarrassing tweet of the month. PBS and PolitiFact published this. White farmers have been murdered in South Africa, but those numbers account for less than 1% of the 27,000 annual murders nationwide. Experts said the deaths do not amount to genocide. Holy moly. Well, South Africa is a very violent country, and these genocide deaths are actually just a small percentage of all the other violence going on. Therefore, it doesn't fit the description of a genocide. Really, I didn't know there was a number on the concept of genocide, but either way, the argument isn't even that there's a genocide going on. The argument is, do they have a valid asylum claim? People seem to not understand that. You don't need to be fleeing genocide to have a valid asylum claim. You could be facing political persecution, extortion, a gang could be threatening to kidnap you. There's all kinds of different criterias that fit the description. These people are fleeing violence and it's overt. The statements were played in front of everybody to see during that Oval Office meeting. Then you have story after story after story of white South African farmers being murdered, and they want you to turn a blind eye because it doesn't fit their ridiculous narrative. They're jumping through hoops and twisting themselves into knots to find any argument to justify or run cover for the persecution of white people. That's the reality. Every argument is a performance of mental gymnastics.
the data backs this up. Police statistics in South Africa do show that on the subject of killings, there are not mass killings of white South Africans in South Africa. There have been gruesome killings of white farmers, individual cases of that. But as a systemic, the police data shows that right now that white South Africans are not killed at a higher rate than any other South African. There is a broad crime problem in South Africa that is very different than a claim of genocide.
That's what this whole it's not a genocide argument is. It's not a genocide because it's only a few thousand killings. What kind of twisted logic is that? You don't get to ignore intentional targeted racial violence just because it doesn't hit an arbitrary stats threshold that was decided as the official definition for genocide by some pompous academic expert. Yes, these people are being viciously targeted, but to officially call it a genocide, oh well, it just doesn't cut it. I'm suspicious of all these people. You know what? Elon Musk's face basically says it all. These characters showed up here to convince us that everything's fine and nothing bad is happening, but I think they've achieved the exact opposite. They got totally exposed, and now people are probably more suspicious than ever before on this whole South Africa issue. These people are real refugees, and the South African government is racist. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.